folding full suspension 48 volt 20 by 4 fat tire electric bike. Yes, please. But before we go there, I have to tell you something that I've noticed about the specs on this bike. Rated at a 750 watt rear hub with an 1800 watt peak motor, I had to do the digging and my math isn't mathing. So let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. We pulled the controller on this bike just to verify the specs for what we were seeing and to make sure that we were endorsing something that was rated at what the website was saying. This is a major selling point between the Hunter Pro, the Jason Hunter Pro, or the Jasion Hunter Pro, and the Hunter X. With that being said, we know that a 48 volt battery at full charge is 54.6, so 54.6, and we will multiply that by the maximum current output of the controller, which is 25 plus or minus 1. So we can give it the plus 1 at 26 amps. We will multiply that by 54.6, and you get 1,419.6. That is 1,419.6 watts, not 1,800 watts of peak power. That is peak current output at a fully charged battery state of 54.6 volts. There you go. I don't know of any other way to calculate it, so if anyone has a good explanation, let us know. But regardless, we did take this thing out preemptively for a ride and we were pleasantly surprised with it. So with that out of the way, let's get into the review of the Jasion folding full suspension 20 by 4 750 watt 1400 watt peak output electric bike. This thing looks smooth, it looks awesome with its BMX bars, and we're going to take you through a review.
To make the connection, and then once you see this turn orange,
now, if you are someone looking for an affordable, powerful, folding 20 by 4 electric bike, and you are not worried about high step over because your height is right on the money to be able to mount this bike, then it may just be for you. If you're looking for that sporty look, having the folding capabilities with the full suspension, then this is the one. It does have a powerful feel and it just looks good. It looks good for a 20 by 4 folding electric bike. And after having ridden it to make sure of what we were talking about in terms of power, we are pleased with the way it performed. Now this bike does have a variable select PAS settings, which are enabled within a Bluetooth application from your phone, which we found very easy to use. The rear hub is a 750 watt output, and you can actually see the specs printed on the sticker, which is right here in front of you when you go looking at the bike. Now, by our calculations, it's 1,400 and we'll say 20 watts peak output, and it will, by the statements on the website, go over 28 miles an hour, and we can confirm that. In this review, we will actually compare it to GPS with an overlay, and we'll have it with the phone as well to make sure that it's accurate. The drivetrain has a 52-tooth chain wheel with a 7-speed Shimano shifter controlling a Shimano tourney derailleur with a 1428 freewheel, which gives you a gear ratio of 3.71. Now we look for a gear ratio in high gear of over 4, so that eliminates ghost pedaling at plus 20 miles an hour. So if that's something that concerns you, you might want to keep that in mind. But I personally allow that to be a trade-off, one for the cadence sensor that it does come with, also the BMX bars and the nice sweep and the ability to adjust those handlebars back for someone like me while also still giving the height for myself and remaining rideable for someone who is a little bit shorter than my 6'2" frame. I also must state that one of my favorite things about this is the seat that it comes with. It is a nice big plush seat, super comfy, and that makes it worth the ride. The gearing, the motor, and the gear ratio are tolerable, could be better, but you have to manage these expectations with the price point that it's at. And today, this price point is right around $1,200. Now, the battery is a 48 volt, 15 amp hour battery, and it is here located inside the bike, inside the frame, and only accessible when you unfold it. The charger is a 48 volt, 2 amp charger, and so your time frame on charging is looking like 15 amp hours divided by 2, and you're looking at about 7.5 hours of charging time from empty to full. So you're looking at about 8 hours of charge time for this 48 volt, 15 amp hour battery. Now, for real world range testing, we like to utilize the Mica toll constant for realistic expectations for range. So what we will do is we're going to multiply 48 volts times 15 amp hours, 48 volts times 15, you get 720 watt hours, and we're going to divide that by 25. Now, 25 is the Mica toll constant, which says it's 25 watt hours per mile ridden at 20 miles an hour, throttle only, no pedaling, no assist. And you get 28.8 miles. Now that sounds realistic. I do expect that this bike, with my weight and given the flat terrain in Florida, will be able to get to that level of distance. So we will take it out today. We'll probably get in around 25 miles and see how it goes. We are excited about that. Probably going to take it to the Clearwater Bridge to do a hill test right in the middle of the range that we expect to be riding today. So it will be a good testament to what will happen to the battery when put under an extreme load like climbing the Clearwater Bridge. So you guys stick around for that moment. To turn the bike on, you will press the orange power button at the bottom of the display controls, and you will see a nice colored display pop up with your speed right down the middle, the PAS settings over the top, your trip and odometer settings dependent on your selection via the mode button. You can change the display readout, ODO, you have your voltage, you have your power output instantaneous, and your average speed, your max speed, and speed in general, which takes you back with the trip output as well. The bike does have a horn, which is a nice depression right here in this control cluster. You can turn on the lights from holding down the positive button, and you see that on the display, the lights or indicator does pop up on the upper left-hand corner. It does have a walk mode, which is the depression of the negative button here on the control pad. But one of my favorite features is the turn signal, where you do see a visualization that your turn signals are on, so you as a rider can remember to turn them off. I believe that is awesome. Now, out of the box, this thing comes with 5 levels of pedal assist starting at 0, and you do have the option to edit these items or change the PAS settings with the Bluetooth application. Starting on the left-hand side, you do have some friction grips with your left-hand hydraulic brake handle, the display controls, plus button, minus button, mode, turn signals, and horn, and then the power button here on the bottom end. These are swept BMX bars with a nice curve for someone with broad shoulders, and it's a good combination for those who are looking for a little more comfort and really relaxation and the ability to fold them back. On the right-hand side, you have the 7-speed Shimano SIS index shifter with your downshift on the thumb and then the push button for increasing the gearing. Right-hand side is a half grip twist throttle with the half grip friction grip on the right and your brake handles.
Now, for the bike, you will want to go into your app store and then download the Jasion Ride application so that you can sync your bike. For this application, you will need to add the bike. So for that end, go ahead and turn your display on, and then you will open up the application on your phone and add bike. It's going to ask you what you have, and you can only do this with the Hunter Pro or the Thunder. So you're going to go ahead and say got it, and then it will show you all the available bikes in the area, and you go ahead and click the link button right there. What you will see is the Bluetooth indicator pop up, and that lets you know that the synchronization has taken place, and you will go ahead and add that bike. You'll wait for it to make the connection, and then once you see this turn orange, it will be active and ready to go. From there, you have the ability to turn on and off the headlight from the application. You can choose your different levels of PAS, so 0 to 3, 1 through 3, 0 to 5, 1 through 5. We like the 0 through 5. It's pretty general industry standard. You also can turn the bike on and off from the application. To get into the settings, which is the most important aspect for us, you hit the top right corner, and then once you're there, we like to go to personalize, and then we are preference to bring the user's top speed all the way to the max. Now, when you're in here and you see this throttle speed limiter, which is very similar to what eBike has for their application, if you turn it on and you come down to your PAS levels, you can actually change the speed limit for each of the PAS levels. And once you get that set, I like to take this and turn it off, which means that the throttle speed will not be limited by PAS, and I can go full speed with throttle in PAS 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, which is the best application in terms of my rider preference. One of the things that we really do like about this is that you can track your rides. This is a GPS overlay, and it does have your coordinates, and then you just press play and it will track your ride for the duration. So when you go to your profile, you can go to My Rides and see your latest. Now, this was unboxing and just testing for synchronization, but it will keep a list of all of your rides on the bike. Inside this application, you can rename your bike. You can also add other riders, but one thing you want to do is make sure that your units are set. We like miles per hour, of course, because we're in the States, but you can use metric units. You can also add other riders, and this allows other riders to app sync to your bike, but you will need to do that as the primary before you let it go, and you will need to sign in your account on the Jasion site before you actually get into the mobile application.
Now, this bike does have a horsed 4-link suspension. Now, it is not top of the line, but it is a working and viable suspension system, so take it seriously. It is worthwhile. There is no lockout on the rear, but on the front, you do have a front suspension fork with lockout so that you can temper that use. The Hunter Pro does come with hydraulic brakes. These are 2-piston with 180mm rotors that will and do provide good stopping power. One thing to note, that when doing the install, this thing was perfectly aligned when it arrived in the box, which made me very happy. I was really pleased to see that when it did arrive. This bike does fold, and the front handlebars do come down. You will lift this small latch right here and then pull the full lever to allow for the fold, and the handlebars will come down on the opening side of the hinge of the bike. Then you will pull the latch here on the actual fold of the bike and then pull out the arm. This will allow you to fold the bike in half. This also gives you access to your battery. For the pedals, the best way to do this is take your hand, put them on the outside, put your thumb in between, and squeeze. this lever will come in, and then you just fold the pedal down. Do that on both sides, and you're ready to fold the bike up and put it in the back of your car. The headlight is activated with the plus button, and you just hold it down until the light turns on. This will simultaneously turn on the rear light, and then you do have brake lights. When the lever is depressed, you do have a brake light, which is really nice. You also have turn signals. These are only on the rear light. To turn them on, you just press the direction of the turn signal button and then press it again to turn it off. Now the bike is 73 pounds, but it's stated with a 400-pound payload capacity. However, this rear rack is stamped at 25 kilograms max, which brings you to about 55 pounds. So you'll have to be mindful of that if you're thinking about passenger travel as well with your kids, etc. Otherwise, rider weight is seemingly not a problem with a max payload of 400 pounds. For the Hunter Pro, we are really impressed with the manufacturing and the assembly and the style of mount for the rear rack, where we have found that this, where the bar is curved and then rests completely on the seat stay of the rear of the bike so that there is no breakage of any of the mounts, so we're good with that. Rear rack, it does have plastic fenders which are included, so we're really happy about that. That means you've got durability, and they do come down all the way near to the bottom bracket, so that's good as well. The front fork is quick release, but this is not something that we would normally like to see on a high-powered e-bike. I think the limits of a quick release are right here at the 750 watt class that the Hunter Pro is in, so keep that in mind, but it is convenient for the repair of the front. The seat is nice and wide and very plush. I'm very pleased with this seat. It is super comfortable and quite nice, especially for our brand of riding, speed and long distance. You also get these nice BMX bars with a nice sweep. It's not too overstated, and it just looks good too. The tires are the 20x4 Chow Yangs, and they have a 20 psi pressure limit for front and back. These are pretty industry standard, and there is a wide variety available in the aftermarket, which we really like. To remove the battery, you will open the bike and unfold it. From there, you will need to make sure that the key removes the safety pin and then pull the key out. And then you will take hold of the little lever arm and then slide the battery out of the bike. There we are, 48 volt. The discharge current of the battery is matched to the controller at 25 amps, and you can put a 4 amp high-speed charger on this, but the one that is included is only 2 amps. The key on the bottom is a known problem for this style of bike, but that's not particular to Jasion. They are working with what they have. Some companies have moved to side entry, but that too is problematic. I think I would rather take the protection of the frame with the battery inside and the key on the bottom than the alternative of what you would have for side mount, etc., in the event that it gets in the way of the battery structure. And this includes the head of the battery and how the pin plate lays out against the contacts for the rear. The bike does come with front basket mounts, which are pretty general industry standard. And if you notice, your serial number is printed up here at the head of the bike. The kickstand is very robust with a nice wide foot, and you can move the bike without having to take up the kickstand, which is now the industry standard. For a long time, this was not usual, but we do like that. In the event that you have to roll the pedals around, it does not get obstructed by the kickstand. Some wish list items of note. There is no control on this rear suspension. As I mentioned, the key placement is just problematic of the industry standard, but we would look for a better solution here. We would look for a higher gear ratio on the freewheel, perhaps a larger or better rear rack capacity than the 25 kilograms. And then one thing to note, when I turn on the bike and I turn on the lights, they are on and the bike is on. Now what we're going to do is let this thing time out. So we're going to see if we can get the power, so with inactivity, to get it to shut down, and we think that the lights actually stay on when that happens. And as suspected, the screen is off. Let me see, let me show you, it's shadowed up. I do have my umbrella, but I'm not doing it. This was a separate test. And you can see that the screen is off and it's timed out. However, the lights are still on, and I think, so the lights stay on regardless with the screen on. And let me demonstrate this for you so you can see exactly what's happening. And now I'm going to turn the power on, and there you go. So if you leave the bike and it times out, the lights will stay on. This does not happen if you turn the lights off, right? And then you turn the display off. You cannot simply turn the lights back on. So I'm trying to turn the lights on, they do not work. But if your display times out and then goes to sleep, your lights will in fact stay on, so beware. I do wish that this seat was a little higher. It's not really long or tall enough for me, but these are the ways. We're just gonna go ahead and immediately check to see if the application has taken effect. So I changed my speed settings in PAS 1. So right now I'm just throttling out, and that's looking good. It's going past 20 miles an hour. Excellent. Let's see what we can get just riding this all the way through. This is at 25. Now keep in mind, I'm a big sail, and if my body is upright, I'm catching a lot of wind as it goes. 27. Looks like the speedometers are pretty accurate as well. So we'll have another opportunity. I'm gonna go this way. Are you, go ahead. So let's do that. So here we are. We are in PAS 1. And it looks like my settings are holding. So the ability to change the PAS intensity or the speed limit on each PAS is great. We like that. Increases the PAS 2. And then here we are. So this is PAS 3, and this is based on my app settings at 16, 17 is where we're at. It looks like this is accurate with GPS too, so that's excellent. We're like fractions of a mile per hour off, so very excited about that. And so now we're just gonna go ahead and bump this thing up from a dead stop, and we'll see what we can get out of full speed. Now there is a hill right here, and so we will incur the gravitational add-on for what we get. This is going to be full throttle, so we're going to go downhill. This will get us up to speed, and then we'll notice more of what we get on the backside
when it comes up to speed, and you can see this truck is up there moving towards the top. I call this a hill. All you northerners might laugh, but it is what it is. Now you see 31 is what it achieved on throttle only, at 29.2 for the display. Let's just go ahead and give her a brake check. That worked pretty well. The brakes feel really solid, and I was very impressed with how they came out of the box. Everything was aligned perfectly. I did not have to make any adjustments to the brakes. It was ready to go, and that stopping distance was really great too. You guys are looking at it, 30 miles an hour GPS, 29.6, and I'm upright. This thing is showing 30 on the display, 29, so it's bouncing pretty well. I'm pretty comfortable with how it's reading out. Plus we'll have the overlay of the Insta360 stuff. Now let's get ourselves back on the trail and see what this is like going up a hill. I don't anticipate any issues whatsoever. I can feel the power, and at that speed it was really nice. 3, 2, 1, let's go. No pedaling. And what I want is an increase in speed. Now, other bikes near these rated specs brought us to around 15 miles an hour at the top of the pedestrian bridge here. We're getting ready to go over alternate, and there it is, 15. So that keeps us in line. This is a 25, 26 amp current limit. The battery would actually be the limit. The BMS on that would keep it at 25, but it was able to power up, got us to 15 miles an hour from the bottom of the ramp of this pedestrian bridge. So that is good. At this point, I'm not like terribly concerned with the peak wattage at 1800 because it feels powerful. It's a really nice ride, and these brakes got it going on, man. I'm definitely pleased with this thing, and the front brakes are handling it well. Let's see, where can we do a marked step off? Let's see if I'm gonna look for a marker right in the middle, and I think I see one right here with a patch. We're at 25, 26, 27. Wow, look at that. Let's go ahead and step this thing off and see what we got. Oh my goodness. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I believe, on the rollover. So that puts us at 30 feet. And what were we at? 26 miles an hour. I am pleased. Can't say enough about the brakes. The brakes feel really good. Some of the best I've had out of the box experience for a bike like this. So if anybody questions my ability to step it off accurately, marching band, you're welcome. So while we're here, and I have a stoplight up here, so I just want to see about this walking function, see what it's like. Okay, yeah, that's manageable, especially for me. Some of you more short-legged people, this may be fast, but I don't know what that life is like, so just keep that in mind. But 3 miles an hour, I think you can manage it, and so that's really nice, especially if you're having to walk it up a hill. So that's good. Just press the down button. That's how that works. I think we're ready. This thing should light up. Let's just make sure that we don't get run over. There we go. My initial thoughts. I do like the power. I knew from the gear ratio when we did the calculations that it just wasn't, it wasn't really there for me. So this bike does have all the power with edits to the chain ring, like an increased tooth count on the chain ring, and it does look like it has the room off of the chainstay, and edits to the freewheel. You can increase the proficiency of the bike under human power, and you can eliminate the ghost pedaling aspect. So it's something for Jasion to think about
as they move forward in the next model of the Hunter Pro. Definitely worthwhile. The grips are not bad. I would look for lock-on grips for this thing. I feel like that would be necessary, but one of the things that I'm really impressed with, one, is the brightness of the display out in the light, because this is the Florida sun, and a lot of these displays have some problems with being able to be seen, and this one is quite visible. You can see it, not much of an issue, but this control panel is really great. Compact, easy to use, everything is right there at your left-hand thumb, and it's a right-hand throttle, which you guys know, of course, that's what I like for these bikes. And the BMX bars, look at all of this real estate on the handlebars. For all you gadget guys and gals, this is where it is. I've got a whole bunch of stuff going on in the handlebars of this Jasion bike, and not only that, but with BMX, it folds, so good on them. So I'm appreciative of the full suspension, especially on the rear. I am typically one to immediately add a suspension seat post or to make sure that that's part of my repertoire, but this bike helps to take care of that issue. Now it is a little stiff, and I would look for adjustment on the shock, but there isn't any. So if there was another improvement that I would request, it was have the shock to be adjustable, so air shock, give it the lockout mechanism, so when you rack it up, it's not gonna bounce around. That would help out a lot too, but regardless, it feels good. And at the price point, with a 15 amp hour battery, you have to give. You've got to make your selection on what it is you will be giving up on all of the available features, the creature comfort features that you could get on an e-bike, so that you can match the price point and come in where it's a value to the consumer, but still worthwhile enough. Now, when you combine this with the Bluetooth interactive application on the display, the ability to adjust the PAS settings, the power of the motor, even though it isn't what is advertised so far as we can tell, it's still quite nice. Plus the top speed, plus the ability to untether the throttle from the PAS, so you can go full throttle in any one of the PAS settings, which you guys know, I really like that. It's worthwhile. And the things that I really like as well are that what I'm noticing is that out of the box, the brakes were aligned great. The only problem that I had was a little bend in my chainring, but the brakes were aligned, and I'm looking at the speed and all that's aligned. I don't have to go in and mess with the diameter of the wheels to get some more calibration to make sure that the speed is correct. It is matching with the GPS, and we'll have double confirmation with the Insta360 cameras and their GPS overlay graphics, where they gather that information, and that comes from these two remotes, where I'm sitting here watching myself the whole time. I'm sure you guys can see the feedback as well. They get a little, it's hard to see, but this display has been working out great. Now we're going to try and stretch this out, and we'll see if the recorded metrics for the ride hold. I'm not going to record the whole ride down. I'm going to try and manage some of my battery on these devices, but I'm going to tell you right now, at $1,200, knowing what's on the market, straight away with a full suspension, ignoring any ills that I may have proposed in the video, I'm gonna have this bike at the forefront. This is top 5 on my 20x4s right now at this price point, and knowing what it has in it. The Bluetooth aspect is really great, especially for the control, and it's working. That's the best part. I've seen multiple issues with that application in other brands, but it looks like Jasion got it out, and it is correct, and it's working with this bike, so good on them. Also, this thing isn't very noisy, right? There are a lot of bikes out there that have very noisy rear hub motors, but from what I'm hearing, it is just the knobby tires, and they're pretty quiet too. The chow yangs aren't coming in super blazing loud, and you don't hear the motor wind up like you do on some other brands, so that is great as well. So the pedal cadence at around 18 is tolerable for me. Now with the shorter seat post, I would want a little more length, but some of that is restricted by the build and the construction of the frame to make it foldable and the full suspension. So I would want a taller seat post, but if I can't have that, the next thing I'm feeling is the cadence of my pedaling, and I like that. I
a lot of people would say that the next available upgraded feature for this bike would be torque sensor, but I am a cadence guy through and through. And it looks like 18 miles an hour is a tolerable cadence for me on the Jasion Hunter Pro, so we are happy about that. And with the refinement in the app, I can actually tone it down per PAS level, so I get to set the PAS level that I know to be perfect. Like when I figure out what my cadence is right at that resistance marker for my pedaling, then I can set my PAS to bring it in. Thank you very much. Thank you, FedEx. Don't drop any e-bikes. So I'm gonna bump this up to PAS 4. Which looks to have my speed set at right around 20 miles an hour. And then once I roll into a resistance feel behind it, the cadence is pretty heavy, and it's not the most agreeable for me. So at 20 miles an hour, that 3.71 gear ratio is saying to me, man, I want more, but I'm not gonna do a blazing fast PAS run at 20 miles an hour because I don't like the street racer cadence of my legs doing that speed, and anything higher than that is not worthwhile either. As you guys know, the market is moving towards more powerful e-bikes, so the chainring teeth count needs to come up and the freewheel teeth count on high gear needs to go down. 11 seems to be the limit because of the width of the teeth and the total the circumference of the high gear on the freewheel. So keep that in mind. You're not going to find anything lower than 11. You have to have a full thickness on your axle and to be able to get the motor mounted correctly and then have the structural stability that is needed. So 11 is about your cap. So you guys keep that in mind. It's going to be 11 on the freewheel and then as many teeth as you can get on the chain ring to bring your gear ratio up to eliminate more and more ghost pedaling at higher speeds. So it does look like the application ride tracking does work even in the background, so you can have another application. I know a lot of you e-bike riders, the primary application having it up, aside from a speedometer, is going to be music. And so far as I can tell, it looks like this will run in the background, so that's really great as well. I started up my GPS speedometer after the fact, so right about half a mile ago. It does have a record function too. I'll be interested to see if it will back record what has taken place. This is showing 6.2 miles on my GPS, and this is 6.3, so they're pretty accurate together. That is great. And then I will also have the rides on these two Insta360s, so good stuff there. It's really meshing up well out of the box. I'm really happy about not having to tune up this bike, make a whole bunch of adjustments and all the other stuff. Everything is just so, and that is a quality aspect when you're getting a brand new bike and getting it out. And honestly, the tires were fully inflated as well. They were ready to go. I did have my compressor going, but I didn't need it. All right, we are coming into Clearwater, and this is where the anticipation is building in terms of the hill ride. The Clearwater Bridge is one of the steepest man-made hills we got in the area, so I'm pretty excited to show you guys this. We are going to ride through the park as well, which is a super nice park that recently got finished up, so that's going to be great too. You will enjoy that. That's the Sound Amphitheater. That is pretty awesome. Now look at that bridge. You guys, look at this bridge. It is huge. Look how tall it is. Now, the grade isn't great in terms of measurement, but the continuous over time is where it's at, and we want to see if we can increase our speed while at the same time moving up this bridge. And I think you'll appreciate the spiral staircase as it is, but regardless, this thing is amazing. Look, and this park is awesome. It is just unreal. One of the best things that Clearwater has done is the upgrades to this park. It is great. And we're not even on beachside yet of Clearwater. I'm going to be on your right-hand side. Thank you. All right, we're getting close. The anticipation is there. Feeling it. Getting ready. I see another e-biker probably getting ready to do the same thing. If you want to go to Clearwater Beach, this is the way to go. You take an e-bike. You don't get out there in the traffic with the rest of the tourists. You take an e-bike up the bridge and do the right thing. Look at him. Here we go. Come around. And then, where are we at? Oh, sorry. No worries. Get this camera reset. Decided it's gonna bend down. And, you know, there we go. Well, this will be good anyway because it'll give me a dead start coming up this spiral ramp. So it's pretty good. I'll have to get the specs on this bridge, but it's pretty freaking massive. And it's done this way because of the mass of the sailboats and then the size of the ships and boats that are coming in out here on the intercoastal. Lots of tourism in this area. And what you're seeing out there is Sand Key. And there's the bridge to Sand Key as well. So, pretty good. I'm excited. Now here we go. I'm gonna keep this in, I'm gonna put it in pass 3 and see what it does. Now with this incline and the way it's going, looks like it's holding steady. There's a pretty strong wind as well, so it's hard at 10. So I'm sure I'm gonna be watching this battery meter just die out. I'm gonna bump it up to 4 to see if we can get some speed, but we know that is gonna increase the current on the output. So the load that you got from the motor, because of the incline, my weight, the wind and everything else, it is pulling up and it's increasing speed in pass 4 up to 15. And we saw that my pass 4 will run up to 20. We're coming up to the top of this, and so that is great. Oh, yes. So here we are at the top of the bridge, and now we can see a full end. This is Clearwater Beach all out here. It's just a beautiful view. We do like it. So there will not be any drone action. The wind off of this bridge is just incredible. What I can do is try and get this bad boy up to speed and see what the braking comes down to when I come off the ramp. So this will be a front brake pull, and it's still just one-handed brake, and it's doing very well on this decline of the bridge. So I'm very happy with the brakes. It's definitely one of the most important aspects of your e-bike. I'm gonna be on your left-hand side, right behind you on your left. Thank you. Heads up, guys, coming through on your left. Thank you. What is this craziness? My goodness. There's somebody inside that thing. Oh my Lord. Hydro Rush water slide ball. I'll stick to riding my e-bike. On our way back. Still holding pretty well. Let me see if I can get some. So voltage is still at 40, 50. That's a voltage sag running up this. It was holding, looked pretty nice. We're still above 50%. Plus 40, there we go. I'm gonna be on your left-hand side down the middle. I'm gonna be on your right-hand side down the middle, heads up. So, on the second pass of the Clearwater Bridge, we are steady in at 49. We have 49.6 volts heading up the incline, going
east on the Clearwater Bridge. I'm gonna bump this. It's in pass 4, so we're gonna watch it. I know that we're gonna lose a lot of battery charge, but it's just a good testament to what the bike can do, and it seems to be holding steady. Speed is dropping off a little bit, but it is tracking well. Beautiful. Look at this view. This is crazy. This bridge is insane. Yes, all right, it has made it up to the top, done very well. Looks like we'll pull down to about half the battery at 48 under load, so with the voltage sag, so 48 volts, 48.5. And now we're gonna head right over there and begin our way back. I will pick up some footage of the bike at the park, etc., and then we'll take it on the way back home and get our final thoughts from a stationary standpoint. That was a good ride. I liked going out there, and what I'm really pleased about is I've got the battery, so it looks like the range situation, the capacity of the battery is looking good. I've been holding what I think to be around 17 miles an hour on an average speed, so that is good. Very happy with that. I'm not feeling anxious about making it back. Looks like it will come out to around the Mica toll constant in terms of range at 20 miles an hour, and we like when the math does math. So there is that. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, we are now with sag below 48 volts, and I just want to see what this thing can pull out in a top speed. So as I ride forward and get a clear path, I'm going to break the law a little bit, but in the name of true testing for these bikes, I want to see what it can pump out while riding at the lower end of the voltage curve for the battery, the 48 volt 15 amp hour battery. So I'm going to get past this intersection up here, and then I'm going to let her rip and see what comes. I like your bike. Yes. Here we go, full throttle. See what we can get until the next intersection. I can definitely feel the slowdown. The voltage sag puts this thing at 46.2 volts right now. And I just had a little uphill incline. I am able to get up to 25 and climbing. It's taking a little bit of time. And then no cars on the intersection, so we're good to go there. We are now playing out at 27.3.5. Can we get 28? Looks, let's see. Is it doing 27? That's matching pretty well, so pretty accurate. Now 46 volts is where 28. Oh my, did it do it? There's 27.8. Yes, I mean, I'm feeling like it's still pulling a class 3 speed limit at 28 miles an hour. Of course, it is not going to be able to get up to that 31 marker that we were seeing earlier. Let's say 28.5, but I'm not seeing that on GPS. However, we were in a bunch of trees. So wowzers, look at that. Look, the X5 is on there. It's got paths going, and I can hands-free ride this thing and no wobble. That is crazy town. I got a lot of weight on the handlebars, and it's offset too. It is not even. Good stuff. I know a lot of the influencers have their scorecards and their rankings, but the bike market is coming into commoditization, so you got to look for what you want, what's available, what's easy to get, how quick can it be shipped to you, and then it's a crapshoot unless the company has proven how the service is going to be. So we will see how that goes down. I'm going to need a new chain ring. I did bend it back into place, but it got marred up during shipping. That is, I can't fault Jasion for that at all. Like, that stuff happens, and I've seen way worse. And the fact that the adjustments on this bike, the brakes and everything else came in well is really good. I do hear some clacking with the suspension, so I'm not sure what that is about, but there is no perfect e-bike, especially in this price category. So we're going to do a dead stop start off the pedestrian bridge with
a sub 50% battery to see if we get up to that 15-mile-an-hour speed at the top of the hill and how well it does. And there is a significant difference going on. I like your ride. Significant difference in how this thing is taken off. Way less power. It looks like it may reach 10 miles an hour coming up to the top, but it is not doing that full battery thing. Didn't even get past 10 on the display. GPS did not show 10. So there is a significant difference on hill climbing ability with less than 50% on your battery. Like your bike? So keep that in mind. I don't know how well that audio is going to come out, but I'll know what I said so I can have it true to heart. Either way, the range is definitely working out. I'm showing something like 20 plus miles, and 28.8 was my control constant at 20 miles an hour. And I've been holding down on a pretty steady higher end speed for the entire ride, and plus we had the bridge going and coming, so there's that, and then all of the other aspects with a high speed test. So we know that it looks like the battery is holding true to form on its capacity, so take that to heart. That is a good sign. 48 volt 15 amp hours is the real deal, and that's what you're going to want, and they are showing to be true on that. So where do I stand? Do I recommend this bike? Does it make the list of consideration, and does it push itself towards the top? Absolutely. You're going to want to check out this bike.
Well, it's been an eventful
So
day.
I've gone out for this
First,
long
let me tell
ride
you
and I
that
can't get
this
my
bike
app
is
to
stated to be
stop.
fit for anyone
It
from
sucks.
5'2" to 6'3" tall.
E-biking.
I'm 6'2", and this is the limit of the seat. And typically, you want your seat
my
height on
rides.
full extension to come up to about your hip bone,
And I lost the
and
whole
we're
damn thing.
a
Look
few
at that.
inches short. I
The
would not
whole thing was
say that this
lost.
is for someone that is
So
6'2".
yeah, that's not a good
That being said, I was
testament
pleasantly
to
pleased
this.
with this bike. It was
Dadgum.
really nice to ride. It had power.
Oh
It
wow.
it
Like
did
I
what it
had a
wanted to do,
very nice
and the
long
range
ride.
worked out.
Oh,
So I like when I
lost it
calculate the
all.
range and I get a feel for what's
Whatever.
going to happen. I know that during
Um
this test ride, I went full speed. We took it on the Clearwater Bridge front and back, like it was there all the way up
wow.
the spiral
Wow. Lost
staircase. I did
all of
my full
that.
speed runs twice, and so I know that that battery would have
Settings,
stretched out. And if
speedometer,
I'd
trip
gone slower,
history,
probably like a 12,
July
15, probably
27th.
would have
This picked up.
exceeded 30 miles,
I had an
but
average
still
speed
in
on
a
this setup, so
pace
speed
that I
data, and
like,
then it did
something
take me
that's
out. So
not
all right,
just
so that's
super
good
snail
enough. I
slow at
can run
PAS 1,
calculations from there.
so you can ink out as much as you can.
Not
Plus,
great.
I'm over 200 pounds, so I understand the limitations. I really, really, really like the display controls on this bike. I didn't find myself using the turn signals. That wasn't a thing, but I do like the way that it's laid out, and the option to have the horn is there. There are oftentimes people that are just not paying attention, and when you're in a pinch and you have the habit, you really have to create the habit to use the horn. Using it, it's just necessary. So I appreciated having that there. BMX bars. They add a whole other thing to the look, and when your seat's comfortable, it is just a good ride. Of course, I'm a thumb throttle guy, but half grip twist is the entire market right now, and I have a newfound appreciation for the Shimano SIS Index shifter, because really it's the only one sustaining a right hand control scenario in which you have throttle and a right hand brake, which is your rear brake, and that's where I want to be. Where do I wish for improvement? So very first thing is I cannot figure out what is the reasoning for the 1800-watt spec rating. The battery is, the BMS says it has a 25 amp current limit, which means that the calculations that I gave up front in this video are even less if the BMS controls the current output for the bike. So at 25 and 54.6 for top voltage rating on a fully charged battery, you're looking at less than 1400 watts. I calculated 26, and it's 14, 16, something along those lines. I can't remember this morning, but one thing I know for sure is I cannot get myself to understand or justify the claim that 1800 watts is the peak power output for this motor. So um, it's either I need to go back to school or something needs to change. Next, the suspension, the rear suspension, I would like to have control of that. If I leave the bike in its solid state where it is not folded, then suddenly I have reason to want to be able to put into a rack where it's the compression style holding the whole frame there. Otherwise, you need to have a rack that pins down your tires. You need to make sure of that. If I had lockout control on this suspension, then I could control that. Also, I would like to be able to adjust the pressure inside the shock. So there's that. Last thing, if the display is on and the bike lights are on and then the display times out, the bike lights will stay on. I don't, that doesn't sync well in my brain. So I'm hoping that something can happen. Have a look at that. I do wonder if a firmware update can be provided through the app to the bike so that that doesn't go down. But I would ask that Jasion take a look at that because it doesn't seem very logical. I didn't do very much off-road stuff, but I did appreciate and wasn't upset with the seating ride at plus 20 miles today. So very happy about that. I think everyone of the electric all-wheel followers understands that I like a suspension seat post. So this was a pleasant surprise. The bike itself, with its power and what I got out of it, I really liked the ride a lot. I liked it a lot. I am not subject to the needs of a step over. And honestly, for what I want out of the seat post, I'll go get my own, right? I understand that it comes with what it comes with, but at $1,200 on a 15 amp hour battery and 48 volt class, still worthwhile. Definitely near the top of the list. The one thing you need to recognize is you got to start weighing in on the things that really matter to you. So in this bike, you get full suspension. At that rate, you're limiting the style of the frame. So that's definitely a factor that influenced whether or not a step through would be available. I guarantee it. And then the trade-off for that also is mag wheels. Now you're starting to see mag wheels on a lot of the industry leaders in this class, the 20 by 4, and those that are claiming to be at the upper end of the power range for this class of bike. So that's what you get. But also they're making these changes with the handlebars, and then you have this really nice display control. The color display is visible, and then it has the Bluetooth sync, which makes the settings really easy to adjust, and you can adjust the PAS levels. So the speed limit on each of the PAS levels, I love that fact. That is the best ever. And then when you decouple the throttle, you can do full throttle in any one of the 5 PAS levels if you choose 5, but you do have the option to change that. So 0 to 3 or 1 to 3 if you so choose. So there is a lot of thought in there, and I can justify myself seeing this bike at the top of the list based on the factors that matter to me. If you're 6 foot or above, this seat post, it's it may or may not, depending on how you like to ride, but I like near full extension when I'm out there, so I like a taller bike. I'm typically going to be personally riding a 26 by 4 fat tire, anywhere from a Kepler to a Wired. So it's a different feel, but I really cut my teeth on 20 by 4s, and I know that they facilitate a taller rider. So I also know that a seat post it's not going to break the bank in any way. And if that is a factor to keep the price point where it is, I'm accepting it. Keep it there because the seat itself is really nice and cushy. So that is a bonus as well. Kickstand. Not a lot of people talk about the kickstand, but I really like to make sure that I have a nice wide foot, and this one is adjustable so I can extend it out. But again, like the bike arrived, everything was in order. I didn't really have to adjust. All I had to do was make sure that everything was tightened and straightened. I make sure that the stem was straight, the handlebars are straight, all the things function, the pressure was in the tires, and just kind of look it over to make sure it was there. Typically, I'm having to touch brake calipers and do fine tuning on that, but that was not the case with this bike, and that pleases me greatly. That makes everything on my end a lot easier, And I'm sure for the first time e-bike purchaser, this is something that they would think about. And if it's not, let me tell you, it benefits you. Rear rack, 55 pounds. I don't I don't normally carry anything heavier than 55 pounds. A lot of people are looking for something more because of having like an adolescent passenger, and that you can see in other major brands. But in reality, with some kind of container, 55 pounds is suitable. And then 400-pound payload, yes sir, please and thank you. That means that, you know, if you guys are out there and you're possibly going to add a trailer, trending with dogs in kid trailers lately, or pet trailers as they are. So I really think that this bike could handle that, and that makes it all the more worthwhile. Do I recommend this bike? Yes, I do. Would I ask Jasion to fix some things? Absolutely, right? We need to figure out what's going on with the wattage, figure out what's going on with the lights when the display times out and the bike shuts off. It doesn't do it when you actually manually shut it off, so keep that in mind. And then perhaps think about some taller riders and the seat post depth. I know this is going to be limited by certain aspects of the suspension, most likely. And then, you know, wish list is a step through. But other than that, doesn't it look good? Don't these bars look good? The power was great. The horn is there. Display controls are on. Color display, Bluetooth sync app. Like, do it. You're not going to regret it. You will like it. And I hope that JCM will stand behind this bike with some great customer service, because the app for me, except for the ride recording, was great. And there is that. I don't know if my ride was actually too long and it needed more time to save. I have no idea what was going on there, but it glitched out when I went to hit pause and stop the recording to solidify the ride into my profile. The whole application just froze.
So I've gone out for this long ride and I can't get my app to stop. That sucks.
And I that was aggravating. I have snippets of it before, so I can calculate it, and I know that we went just, I think it was like 22 miles, 20, just over 22, and then the resulting voltage, I was very comfortable with what was coming out. I believe I saw 45 at a voltage drop on the ride in, and that was it. Typically 46. So we were doing just fine. Would have gone way beyond the 28 based on my riding style in this review video, which is a guarantee that it passes mustard with the Mica Toll constant. So yes, I recommend the Jasion Hunter Pro. Even with everything that I have discussed, I believe that it is a solid bike, has a good core, good frame. The bones are good, the power is good, the interface is good, and other things can be dealt with. So there is that. If you like this bike, check out the link below in the video description. You guys remember to recharge, unplug, and go the distance. We'll talk to you next time.